The next topic we'll discuss in terms of managing performance on your system is managing log files. Now, logs are generated on the system and they're there for a purpose. They're there for you to look at to make sure that nothing is going wrong, that there are no security incidences, or to make sure that everything is going right, in fact. Now, logs for various utilities are stored in varlog, and you'll get logs from syslogd, the syslog daemon, Zorg, security logs, and so forth. Now, again, they're there for a purpose, so if you don't read them or don't use them, they're doing you no good. You're just wasting disk space and CPU time logging them. So it's a good idea to go through here and look at your logs occasionally, maybe on a daily basis, back them up if you need to, and take corrective action whenever you see something in the log that's not right. Now, normally you're able to read these logs with a text editor, just an ordinary text editor such as VI, but you can also look at them using the various file view utilities such as cat, more or less. They're simple text files. Now, there's a couple of utilities that you can use also if you're just looking for a few things. For example, the head command can give you the first few lines of a log. The tail command enables you to look at a log, such as your firewall log, and actively watch new lines being added to those log files. You can watch those logs as they come in, so you can actually take action if you need to fairly quickly and immediately by using tail. Let's go ahead and look at some various log files and look at where the logs are stored on a Unix system. Okay, we're in our FreeBSD system, and let's go ahead and do a cd/var/log, and let's do an ls-al and kind of see what all's in there. We've got a lot of different logs in there. We've got mail logs, we've got messages, security logs, and so forth. We've even got the Zorg log from where we configure Zorg to configure our X windows. Now we're going to take a couple of looks at these logs and mention a few of them specifically because they'll be very helpful to you in troubleshooting and in monitoring security. Let's take a look at the zorg.0.log. Basically, this log tells you what all's going on with Zorg, and it will help you troubleshoot X Windows issues if you like. This is just an example of a log that you should probably take a look at if you have any issues with X Windows or any other hardware, video, and so forth. And there are a lot of other logs like this. Keep in mind that a lot of logs from utilities do not log into varlog. Some of them do, but some of them don't. And you may have to look for logs in other places as well. We see here that the logs that were built in Zorg when we established our zorg.conf file, this basically showed what happened when X was being installed and how it reacted when it created a new file and started X Windows and so forth. So if there's any issues with X Windows, you can look in here and see if there are any issues with configuration or hardware and so forth. Another log you can look at is you can look at varlog messages, and you might want to put an asterisk there because there's probably more than one. In fact, let's go ahead and look. And there are several message logs there. We see messages, messages.0.bz2 and messages.1.bz2. They're bzipped. And what looking at those will tell you, those are the logs that syslogd generates and puts in the messages files. And this will tell you about hardware failures. It'll tell you about just basic processes, things that are interacting with your system, and you can get an idea of what's going on, and you can see if anything is going wrong that shouldn't be. So let's take a look at those, and we can cat them all together. Star there. It'll even tell us messages file 1 of 3. So we've got different messages going on here. We've got startup, we've got shutdown, we've got login by root, syslogd starting up, the kernel starting up, and we have different kernel options being activated there. So if something is not starting up, like a piece of hardware, we might catch it here. We see that our Ethernet adapter caught an IP address. So when things start going wrong, this is one of the first places you should probably look. These logs can actually become very big. That's why they're kind of zipped and put into a compressed file after a period of time, so you can have several logs because you don't want one big log filling up the system. So you have the option of going back to different log files if you like. So you've got these logs here, and they tell you a lot of information. That was messages, and syslogd sends it there, and we'll talk a little bit more about syslogd as we go. And there's another log we can look at, and that's the security log. Now, security log basically is where the firewall logs its dropped and denied packets and so forth, and we've enabled logging on the firewall, so we're actually getting a lot of traffic through there. And the other things can actually log to security as well, depending on what we've configured. Right now we only have the firewall configured to log here, and you can see that it's denied different pieces of traffic coming in and going out of the system. And if you actually had a security breach, one of the first things you might want to look at is your firewall logs if this happened over the network, if you were suspecting someone of hacking into the system, this is one of the first places you might look. So these are just some examples of some logs that you might take a look at just to see that the system is performing well, that there are no security incidents, that the hardware is starting up properly, that the kernel is starting up properly, and so forth. And when things go wrong, the logs are one of the first places you should actually look.